A month or so ago, there was a couple that had a diagnosis of a child that was going to be born with Down syndrome, and they aborted the child, and they shared their journey on their YouTube platform because they're influencers. And there was obviously an outcry from people saying that that is so evil for them to do. And many people were like really just disgusted with their decision. My thoughts on the whole situation was that I was sad. I was sad for them because I feel like they didn't really fully understand what they were doing, and maybe they didn't have the counsel that they needed to make the right decision. We have a son with Down syndrome, and he is the love of our lives. He is so delightful. I mean, he just gives so much love to us, and the journey has really been one of amazing growth, amazing just wonder. Every single milestone of Liam has been wonderful because we've appreciated it so much more with him. And then, I mean, his personality, he's just very funny, very strong-willed, and it's just been really delightful how he loves so unconditionally, and how he gives, and how he cares, and just how his relationship with the Lord has been so amazing, how he prays for people. And so our journey with Liam has been one of complete delight. But when we received the diagnosis, it was a shock. We didn't know what it was going to be like. It was a little bit scary, and we did grieve the son or daughter that we thought we were going to have. It wasn't one that we were like joyful immediately. And it makes me think of when Mary received the news that she was going to bear a son, and she was 14. They say she was about 14, but immediately she received the news and she was willing to be the mother of this Messiah. It just showed such a level of maturity and faith on Mary's part. And I have to confess, I did not have that faith to have a son with Down syndrome immediately. I had to, well, I wasn't going to abort, but it was kind of like, oh my gosh, what is this going to look like? So there was a little bit of uncertainty and fear attached to that, just because I didn't have the faith immediately. I had to process. So some people get the diagnosis and they're immediately happy. And I feel like people like that have so much maturity and so much more understanding. But for me, I had to like process and speak to the Lord. I asked God, what do you say about this? And I remember the scripture that came to my heart was, this baby is fearfully and wonderfully made. And I then just decided, Lord, if you say he is fearfully and wonderfully made, well, then he is fearfully and wonderfully made and perfectly made. And so we then made a decision that Liam is a blessing. He is going to be a blessing, and we are going to love this journey of being his parents, and we are going to discover what that looks like. And in that journey, there are challenging moments. Like the infant stage is hard work because you have to develop the muscles and you have to go to therapy. But in that journey comes so much discovery of meeting other parents that have kids with Down syndrome or kids with disability, and how they are so loving and so giving. I mean, the community grew me so immensely. Like the other mothers were just an inspiration to me. And so the journey itself with Liam has been delightful. As I say, every single part of his, like every milestone was wonderful. And just seeing how he understands, and the times that he couldn't communicate with me, like how he would communicate with me in his way. And that was wonderful to me, just to see how he responds, and how I had to just get to know how he was communicating with me. And then eventually he started speaking, and in his time. And so the whole journey has been delightful. So when this event happened and this couple aborted their baby, I was very sad for them, because they missed out on a journey of growth. They missed out on a wonderful opportunity of parenting a beautiful child that God had gifted them. And I know that God gives every gift to the right parents. He doesn't make mistakes. And so I want to encourage you, if you have a diagnosis where you are pregnant and you are going to have a baby that has some disability, it may be scary and you might be grieving, and that is a process. But embrace the journey, embrace the growth, and understand that you get to do this. You get to be a parent. You get to be part of the journey of this amazing child, and you get to steward this beautiful life. And it is a gift. And to those of you that have made the decision to terminate and to abort, there is forgiveness, and you can reconsider and say, Lord, I'm sorry that I did that. It's not the end of the journey for you. You can walk that journey of being forgiven and asking God to forgive you, and embracing every other pregnancy that God gives you. So I believe that there's always redemption. I believe that there is always hope. And I pray for those that don't have understanding. And we all are at different places. Like Mary was so faith-filled that she could receive the calling of being a mother at such a young age with such joy and without any hesitation. That is faith. And that's why I feel Mary is so honored, because she received the calling to be a mom in very uncertain circumstances, and she embraced it. But for other of us, we receive that calling of motherhood, but we have to process a little bit before we embrace it. And then others aren't ready and they may make the wrong decision, but there's always grace and there's always hope and there's always forgiveness. And I want to tell you that today, Jesus is available and he is knocking at the door of your heart, and you can open up for him and you can invite him into your journey, no matter where you're at, whether you are just receiving the diagnosis or you have received it and you're grieving and you're processing, but you haven't yet made the wrong decision, or whether you've made the wrong decision. There is hope. God can forgive, and he's willing and able to forgive. And in forgiveness is such redemption. And I also want to say that abortion is killing a baby, and it's very violent. And this particular case, I think they were pretty far along, and like maybe 20 weeks. And that's basically having a violent act happen in your womb. They are tearing the baby to pieces and then extracting the baby from the womb. You do not want that negative energy in your body. It is evil, and it is not something that you want to have happen in that very sacred, safe place of your womb. And so there's so many choices that you can make. If you're not willing or able to parent, there's adoption. There's so many options. And why don't you ask God to walk it with you and show you how to walk? I hope this video blesses you and just helps you in your decision making today. God bless you.